I'm up the coast. We were going to stay in Sydney for the weekend, but because of the inclement weather, everything was cancelled, including we were going to Jaguar Drivers Club of Australia was going to organise an XJ6 or a Grand Tours run out to Jamison Town Park, and we're going to have morning tea out there tomorrow morning. But there's so much water on that park, and it's still meant to be 95% rain tomorrow, so that got cancelled. And I was going to do a video of it for your XJ6 owners, just to see what the XJ6s our Aussies own over here, and talk to a few owners with their experience of these beautiful motor cars. And I was going to take Anna, my 85 Coupe, out there because she hasn't had a run for a while. But that'll be postponed, so we will do a video on that, but we're just waiting for a new date. In the meantime, I had to have a cup of tea, and I found some old birthday cake that's 3 weeks old. It's pretty yummy though. It's been in the fridge. We are thinking about this thing. I pulled up, it's rain. I plugged the booster onto the battery. Mind you, I did have a charger on the battery, but I totally cooked it. It was so hot when I got back, I couldn't touch it. So put the booster on, turned the key over, she just fired up and started racing its guts out straight away, and the idle wouldn't come down, so I turned it off straight away. And I had a look at it, and Brett is no mechanic, and I had one inlet valve totally open and the other totally closed, but I thought I had it right. So we did that, and I haven't started it yet, so I'm just going to go through a bit of adjustment on these HD8s, which I probably should have done way in the beginning. I thought it'd be sort of already set up for my old mate when I bought it from, but they've all been pulled apart. And the HD8's a little bit different. Adam Clementson from Living with a Classic gives a really good explanation in tuning HS8s. The HD8's a little bit different, and so I've just logged onto the Berlin site because I've never really tuned one of them before, and just getting the proper adjustments to start it for the first time. So we'll go through that and then we'll give it a kick. So we have two sets of adjustment screws on these HD8s. We have the big one there, which is they call it the slow idle screw. It's just an idle screw. Then we have the mixture screw down there, and they call that the fast idle screw. It's just a mixture screw, I guess. And so we got to adjust that to a level, and then we give that an initial turn of 2.5 turns down, turn the jet down. So we'll do that. I'll just put the camera down for a sec. Okay, so that's the mixture screw, and we adjust that up till the jet is level with the base of the carb there, and then we screw it to start with 1.5. Oops, forgot. Back to level. 2.5 turns. So half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So that's just dropped a little bit to start. And once we get it started with that, we will then adjust it to get the mixture either lean or richer, and hopefully it'll run smooth. You've probably still got a few vacuum leaks floating around. There's some old hoses, but we'll look at that after we tune these carburetors, just to get it started. Now it says to fully close the idle screw, or slow running idle screw, to it fully seats, and then 3.5 turns. 1, 2, 3.5, and we'll do that to the same as this carby. You know how I said this one was flooding a bit? Well, it was flooding a bit of petrol even after I started it when we got here. And it kept flowing out just for the gravity of it, because that jet was fully open. And I think a bit's gone down into the crankshaft too, because I can smell a bit of fuel in the oil. But we won't run it for too long, and then I'll drain the oil. I've got oil ready for it. I haven't got a filter yet. We'll work on that. So this jet's down now 2.5 turns, and the idle screw is up 3.5 turns. And I just had to go and nick a battery from Mr. Red. I bought a new one for that. That was the one that has 20 months warranty, not 24. But it's still all right, and we'll get it going. Okay, we're ready to fire it up. Garage door's open. Where's my fire extinguisher ready? I'm excited. Let's do it. Okay. Show the lightning. Key. They still need quite a bit of tweaking. Oil pressure's up. So far so good. Blowing zero smoke of any colour. Except for when I first started it. And Beastie needed to give it a wash. It's still got a bit of a mist to it, but I think because it's got vacuum leaks. There's a hose down here. If I spray that hose, she revs up. So that hose has got a hole in it. And this is, look here. There's a vacuum line there. Yeah, a bit of hose replacement. But it's no noise. It's running lovely, really. Don't forget, we haven't looked at any points, plugs, leads, haven't done anything like that yet. So once we get all that tidied up and get these new hoses going on, she'll be running like a sewing machine. Check that temp now, because she's been running for about 15 minutes. Yeah, she's just sitting stable there. That oil pressure's up nice and high. That hasn't dropped down a bit. And I know there's a bit of oil, there's a bit of gasoline in that oil, so I can't run it for too long. But, okay, more jobs, but how? This is pretty good news for me. I am very happy. So I just opened those enrichment screws up just half a turn, and it made it better. But you can't really adjust those properly until we get all those vacuum leaks fixed. Make sure those points and timing and all those pluggy things are all done nicely. So we'll get back to the carburetors after we check all this other gear. Yeah, let's see what we've got here. Ugh. Let's clean out that, shall we, so we can at least get some brakes going. Aluminium from that the brake warning light sensor. Look at that. I might just clean that out a bit more now. That filter helped a real lot. We'll just give that a clean. Well, I'm going to flush the whole system. I just want to get some brakes happening so I can pull this thing in and out of the garage. So I'll just clean this reservoir up a bit. And we'll don't want that splitting everywhere. And see if we can get some pedal up on those brakes. I think we will. Yeah. One sec. Looking good. Looking good. I have plenty of second-hand reservoirs, so this one's no good anyway. Yep, that should just do a bit of hand wipe there with it. Well, I did a little bit more tweaking with those carbies. It's almost sewing machine. I also cut off that hose down there and just blocked it off for the time being. Also developed a bit of oil leak under there. Don't know where it's coming from. It only started dripping once the engine was fired up. We'll have to look at that at some stage. Okay, it's following morning. I put some fresh brake fluid in the reservoir last night and pumped up the brakes, and we do have a bit of brakeolators, and I've just hooked the choke wires up again. I'm just going to see if it starts cold. Okay, pumps going. Show the lightning. That's fresh cold. And here that choke's still going. Okay, let's see if we've got any gears. Right. First. I started to miss a bit, so I pulled out the old plugs. Looks like it's running richer than Clive Palmer. And that's probably just because it's been going in and out of the driveway with the choke on. So we'll put some new spark plugs in it and warm it up again, see what they look like. And you blokes know when you get new plugs, it's always really important to check the gap with the correct feeler gauge. Perfect. I noticed the amp gauge wasn't doing much, wasn't moving. Yet the ignition light went off. And tested, there's battery's not charging. It's old alternator, pretty old looking. Well, because of my extensive electrical automotive engineering, it didn't take me long to fix it. Should do it. Well, maybe not. Oh, maybe yes. Just the gauge is not working. We'll work on that. Well, at least we've got charge now. They tell me these old alternators are the same as E-types. I've still got a spare one floating around somewhere. Okay, instead of me just chatting away and drinking a cup of tea with some 3.5-year-old birthday cake, let's see what we did today. I did a bit on it today off camera, so we'll back this thing outside and have a walk around, shall we? Well, it's the following morning. Yesterday afternoon I backed the car out to do a walk around. I forgot to turn the camera on to stability mode, and the videos were shaking around more than Shakin' Stevens was on steroids. So I'm just going to let you know when the wind's blowing. I did off camera yesterday, and I didn't put the camera on because just sometimes you need to be alone by yourself doing this stuff. We cleaned up that guard a bit, sanded it back, put some nicer primer on it. That was bugging me. We got rid of that band-aid as well. That's nice and smooth now. Sanded that back, put some filler in there. Those little bubs too, cleaned them up. I got rid of that blue. That was driving me mad. It's got some primer on it. I headed down to Super Cheap Autos to see if I can get some yellow to put on it. I wasn't going to do that today, but they didn't have the tints for it, so I've got to go to a bigger paint shop for that. I also drained that tank, got rid of all the old fuel out of that. That was pretty ugly. I haven't done anything to this guard yet. We'll get into that soon. She's running a lot smoother. Actually, she's running lovely and smooth. I'll put all that air cleaner and that back on it later and get a new one of those little pipey things. I know this tacho's not reading correctly. I don't know if anyone else picked that up. And we know that battery gauge is not working. Temperature seems to stay stable, and I know we haven't got half a tank in there either. We'll clean that gauge up. But you can see I've polished all the dash. How good does that look now? And that crash pad, I don't know if I showed you earlier, that's a Series 2 crash pad because it hasn't got the speaker hole in there. So I'm happy with that. Another thing I love is this fixed Venetian. I haven't seen one of those in a Series 1 before, but that would have been an optional extra. I don't know what those little things are up there. Just holding the roof lining on. We'll need a new roof headlining, but we can do that later. I thought this thing was an early Series 1. There is still holes there for those headrests, and these headrests aren't really that exciting, but they might clean up all right, get some new sponge in them. We get all this on that fan shroud on. She's also going to have a hot new stereo put in it. And we'll should fire up this air conditioning if we decide to keep going with this old girl. Electric windows. How good are those switches again? And we're going to have a 4-speaker control. Looking pretty tidy. Let me know what you want me to do with this, guys. Make comments. Do I throw it into the paint shop and spend 20 grand on paint? I don't know. Or do I just get it going and move it on? Questions. And I started playing with that air conditioning knob. The fan started on. Where's that fan? Yet it's not on there. And that doesn't turn it off there. Well, that's weird. Another thing to look at. Let's turn that ignition on again, see if it comes back on again. It's got a ghost. Off, turn off. Just going to take a quick peek to see why those fans are stuck on. But while I was here, just looking at this instrument panel here, this is 50 years old. And every one I've seen in the past, this silver frost or silver paint is completely worn off them. Now, sure, that could have been repainted on at some stage, but the whole thing shows little wear. And if you open up to this little fuse box, oops, I've lost that. How often do you see these steel plastic covers covering the fuse boxes on? They're generally always gone, for God. Pretty straightforward in there, not too much butchering of wiring. We'll work out which wire is the fan wire. Heater motor is number 3, so I just might pull that out. And just see. Okay, they're off. How about we hook that back up again? Yeah, so it must be something in that fan switch down there. I think there must be an off and on. That must be just dirty. We'll pull that apart later, but I'll just leave that fuse off for the time being. Shut up, cockies. Okay, we might leave it there. We've got to head back to Sydney today and do some real work. So instead of me sitting down on the chair and chatting away, we'll catch you in the next episode. Don't forget, please subscribe if you haven't and give it a thumbs up. That makes me really happy. And if you want to put a comment down below, I'm really happy with comments and I'll respond to them as quickly as possible. So see you guys, we'll catch you in the next episode.